The fallen leaves tell a story. The great Elden Ring was shattered. In our home, across the fog, the lands between.
Elden Ring, the potential game of the year of 2022 and one of the most successful games in reputation and profitability. It has dominated most of the charts related to gaming for almost 2 months. I haven't seen a game that imposed such an impact on the gaming industry for years. As the first Soulsborne game I ever managed to finish one playthrough, and definitely going to start a new game plus, there are a lot of issues related to myself and the real world hidden behind this great game. Undoubtedly, Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild will always be the instant classic, but what FromSoft did by integrating the Breath of the Wild concept of an open world game into a Souls-like game is remarkable. Anyone who plays games know that the Breath of the Wild is the pioneer of such an open world game. Its HUD and map are as minimalistic as possible to provide players with the purest gaming experience. If we said Breath of the Wild is the best open world game in terms of world design, Elden Ring is the most realistic one. By realistic, it doesn't mean that the elements in the world are close to the real world objects, because it's clearly not for a fantastic game like Elden Ring, but rather how dark the world is. The difficulties and challenges of a Souls-like game are incorporated into such a vast and beautiful, but simultaneously mysterious world, bringing the game alive. The lands between is not a totally virtual world. It is a reflection of the real world and our own self in virtual reality. It is remaking the realities. The journey of finding the Elden Ring, claiming the Elden Throne, and becoming the Elden Lord is just like our life journey. The lands between is just like the real world. It encourages exploration to the fullest and blazes players' own trails in every means. You are responsible for your tarnish every move and decision, just like who you are to yourself. There is no marker of quest tracker in Elden Ring. All we know is that we are heading to that giant golden glowing tree, which basically is the backbone of the lands between, and we have to get there no matter what it takes. We have to put full attention to every conversation and everything that happens to figure out what comes next and what to do next. In real life, there is no clear guideline or tracker. There is no one there to keep reminding us and guiding us on what to do next. We are on our own most of the time. We decide who we are and who we want to be. We need to figure out where our next step is and keep discovering what will life struck us along our way, just like in Elden Ring. We do not know anything for sure except our life goal, the tree of hope and dream that has been pushing us to strive for more in our life. Furthermore, we know that Soulsborne game's storyline is never linear and direct, and Elden Ring brings it to a new height with its open world setting. In the vast, mysterious, diversified and dark fantasy world of the lands between, we need to piece everything together to understand the world and the game story. With no map marker and quest tracker, it can be really confusing when someone shows up and prompts you to do something, and you will keep forgetting what is going on and not understand what are you doing along the way. You only get the complete picture at the end. It's just parallel to our life. We may be confused about our current state in life. We get lost sometimes. We question whether we are heading the right way, making the right decisions, and where life will take us. But no one knows the answer for sure to reach the end. At the end of the day, everything explains itself naturally. Everyone you met, everything you have done, and everything that happened that made you puzzling will complete your life puzzle for you someday. That day, you will realize everything happens for meaning. It is part of our destiny. Life is hard, and the real world is hard. We all know that. And so does Elden Ring. Soulsborne game is well known for its difficulty, and Elden Ring brings it to a new height. and not by just making boss fights harder, but also making it easier and more accessible to the greater public at the same time. This sounds contradicting at first, but let me explain it later. I never thought I needed a challenging game before until Elden Ring did what other Souls-like games couldn't achieve. Previous Souls-like games take a subsequential level form and their difficulty increases as the game progresses. Your progress will come to a standstill if you cannot beat a foe. The open world game design of Elden Ring more changes this issue. We can explore the world and level up our tarnish first, seek revenge later, or just find a workaround on specific scenarios. Whenever we face a difficult situation, giving up is not the best option, obviously. Instead of trying hard, we should try smart. It is totally okay to take a break from whatever you are dealing with right now. It doesn't mean you are giving up, or it doesn't mean you are a loser. The co-op mode and messages scattered around the world also remind us that somebody is always there to assist and support us. Most importantly, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Although it did kill you many times, but you still get revived right and get the chance to try again and again. It is telling us not to give up no matter what. This game really resonates with our life. Everyone is unique. Everyone's ability isn't the same, and we all have our pace and way of dealing with our problems. Improve yourself, try to find other ways, seek help from others, or give yourself some time off. We'll come back stronger, not immediately, but definitely. We are the brave tarnish of our own life in our own way.
Thank you for guiding me here.
Let us move on to the more serious part of the discussion, the real-world issues brought up by the Elden Ring. First and foremost is the accessibility issue. Elden Ring has sparked the debate on the accessibility issues among the gaming community. The main focus of the discussion on accessibility surrounds its difficulty. At first glance, as I mentioned before, we would refer accessibility to as letting more players with a lower skill set to get their hands on a Souls-like game that is notorious for the near impossible level of difficulty for players like me. True, introducing open world design to a Souls-like game introduces an easy mode to it, which raised a debate on whether FromSoft should sacrifice one of their main selling points to enable more people to enjoy this masterpiece. On the other hand, some players still complain about the excruciating level of difficulty and lack of options that can make the game easier. It is a good phenomenon that we raise awareness of accessibility in gaming and have a meaningful debate on it. Even the director Hidetaka Miyazaki responded on this issue. However, there is a misunderstanding in this discussion. Difficulty in terms of game design or level design isn't just what accessibility means. Accessibility of a game actually means the game's ability to be customized to meet unique users' needs. A prominent example of an accessibility feature presented in a game is the colorblind mode. But not just that. Keys remapping, customizing brightness, gamma value, and volume of audio channels are part of the accessibility package too. The accessibility features have been relatively complete for players without special needs in most games nowadays, but features like game scene narration and key remapping options for single-handed people are still not widely available for players with special needs. So this is the actual accessibility issue that should have been the main topic of discussion. So for an example, Playground Games did an excellent job in accessibility integration. When I first booted up Forza Horizon 4, I was amazed by how it narrates the screen for more accessible screen navigation. They also promoted their accessibility features to a new height with Forza Horizon 5 by introducing features like American and British Sign Language support for cinematic cutscenes, offline gameplay modes to slow down, and visual high contrast mode, and etc. The studio's commitment and effort in identifying accessibility issues in liaison with members of the gamers and disability community should be applauded and adopted by other developers too.
Option highlighted. Offline game speed. Option highlighted. Sign language picture in picture. Option 5 of 18. Control type. Value selector. Current value. Off. Value 1 of 3. Activate picture in picture videos for either American Sign Language or British Sign Language.
The discourse and debate around accessibility of Elden Ring provided an excellent opportunity to raise awareness of accessibility in gaming and also clarify why is it so pivotal to the development of the gaming industry. There is much more to be addressed besides the difficulty. Accessibility isn't just about making a game easier, but more suitable and fair for everyone. Elden Ring is a great game. Everyone deserves to experience and enjoy it in a more similar way. Secondly, I mentioned having PTSD because of Cyberpunk 2077, which put me in doubt while hesitating whether to buy Elden Ring before its official release. This is highly related to the main issue killing the gaming industry in recent years, the hype issue. This cycle typically consists of 3 stages: promises or lies, disappointments, and finally, excuses. First, lies. Gamers are bombarded by many pre-rendered gameplay trailers, live streams, and even scripted interviews on a yet-to-release game from developers. Nowadays, it is a norm for many leading developers to use such a marketing strategy. Disappointment kicks in when a game doesn't live up to its hype. Almost all of the highly anticipated game of recent years does not live up to the expectations, or even worse, the game went the opposite way. You know what I mean? It's Cyberpunk 2077. When game-breaking bugs lay across the whole games, the developers become the ones to be questioned. However, some companies blame the gaming community for their high expectations or other factors instead of admitting their failure to produce a decent or even playable game. Yes, I'm talking to you, Ubisoft and EA. But yep, it is really such a disgrace, developers denying their mistakes and making excuses for themselves. If such lousy influence persists, it will be disastrous to the gaming industry. So back to Elden Ring. FromSoft didn't use those marketing tactics used by most companies. They presented all trailers and announcements in a more realistic way without intentionally creating exaggerated hype on Elden Ring. The anticipation surrounding Elden Ring is mainly set by the gamers community instead of somewhat manipulated or deceived by FromSoft. Nowadays, big names like FromSoft and Rockstar are pretty rare to focus more on development and production than marketing. So it is a good sign that quality-driven developers still exist. Besides that, FromSoft delivers a relatively complete game with only minor performance issues on day 0. Since the game was launched, there hasn't been a complaint from players about unfinished content. Fans have routinely criticized games like Battlefield 2042 for the incomplete state in which the game was released. Instead of relying on subsequent updates and DLCs for a more content-packed experience, Elden Ring is presented to players with at least 100 hours of solid gameplay when it was first launched. Lastly, as I mentioned, there are minor bugs across all platforms when Elden Ring is released. While Elden Ring had a successful launch, Bandai Namco and FromSoft quickly acknowledged the issues and started to fix them, and I think most of them are fixed today. I really appreciate that FromSoft fixed most of the problem as soon as possible instead of blaming others or ignoring them. Hence, instead of saying Elden Ring lives up to its hype, Elden Ring is a phenomenal success for not being part of the hype issue.
Into fear, doubt,
Elden Ring is undoubtedly a milestone for the gaming industry, which its development has been relatively stagnant since genre-defining groundbreaking titles like Red Dead Redemption 2 and Breath of the Wild, and also a recovery from total disappointment from Titanfall and Cyberpunk 2077. It is really a real world open world game for the real world. Not just because it resonates with our life, but raises some essential issues in the gaming industry.
Well then,
Hope you
shall we?
become the Elden Lord you want to be, and rule the lands between as you wish. Hope you become the one you want to be, and live your life as you
My
wish.
fair consort eternal.
Last but not least, enjoy gaming.